This is World Talks on TVP World. My name is Anna Kalczyńska. Welcome. Sending 19 drones to Poland was a clear signal that Vladimir Putin has absolutely no intention to end the war against Ukraine and the West anytime soon. In the latest statement, President Donald Trump admitted that ending the war in Ukraine occurred far more difficult than he had expected. So where are we in this painful art of negotiations, or rather, are the peace talks stalled for good? Joining me to discuss this is Taras Kuzio, Professor of Political Science, National University of Kiyv-Mohyla Academy. Good evening, sir. So, starting by the latest, the hybrid war apparently enters a new stage with a drone operating over the Polish Chancellery of Prime Minister and the residence of the President Karol Nawrocki. Poland says it has intercepted, neutralized the drone and detained two Belarusian nationals. So what's your comment? How do you read it?
Well, I'm surprised that Poland is surprised and NATO is surprised. Russia has been undertaking hybrid war, different types of hybrid war, since 2007, so nearly 20 years. The first kind of example of that was in 2007 when Russia launched the cyber warfare against Estonia. But it's been doing all sorts of different activities since then, including the last 3 years when there's a war in Ukraine. Why did NATO and why did Poland not believe that this war would eventually reach them? This is what is surprising. And also surprising why they didn't prepare for this eventuality. I mean, to only shoot down 4 out of 19, or some people say 23 drones is pretty bad. It's lucky for Poland these were not armed drones. They did not have explosives inside. So why did Poland and NATO not be prepared for this? Why have they only now turned to Ukraine for experience and training to deal with this? I mean, Ukraine's attacked every evening by hundreds of drones, and it shoots most of them down. Exactly.
Chief of the Estonian head of Military Intelligence Center of the Estonian Defense Forces, Ants Kiviltsek, said that Ukrainian air defenses intercept roughly 90% of threats and of drones. Mm-hmm. So Poles are now going to be trained by the Ukrainians. Is it too late, or better late than ever?
Well, it's not too late, but it's of course a bit of a comedy show that a NATO member, Poland, whose president is opposed to Ukraine joining NATO, is now turning to a non-NATO member, Ukraine, for help in training. And Polish soldiers, or the Polish government, is too afraid those soldiers being trained in Ukraine, so they should be trained in Poland. This could make a very good comedy show. You have on your doorstep the only army in Europe, only pro-Western army in Europe, which is battle experienced, Ukrainian. 1 million soldiers and security forces. No other country in NATO has battle experience because Afghanistan and Iraq are anti-terrorist operations. They were not full-scale wars. Ukraine has the most innovative defense sector in the world. And yet, the Polish president and other countries, including Donald Trump, are opposed to Ukraine joining NATO. But at the same time, you want Ukrainian training and Ukrainian technology. This is kind of a very strange situation. Surely the best way forward is just to bring Ukraine into NATO. Then NATO would be a formidable force to take on what is a major potential threat from Russia.
That is true. Well, unfortunately, Ukraine has this unique experience of dealing with Russian drones lately. and is better equipped also with its experience of defending itself. Therefore, it can definitely be the best teacher to anyone who wants to defend against Russia presently. But how do you read the latest
There's
incursion?
also, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, just one particular point as well, additional point. There's also a financial aspect here, because during this latest incursion by Russia, NATO jets and other military equipment was used against the drones. It was not very successful. Only 4 were brought down, but they used very expensive military equipment, which is not possible to do if you have hundreds of drones being attacked. I mean, you can't use missiles which cost $250,000 to bring down, a $30,000 drone. So, hence, the technology that Ukraine has developed, and which will be cooperated with Poland, is far less expensive, and that's very, very important, because you don't need to spend such a huge amount of, valuable resources on bringing down these Russian drones. Are not expensive drones. They're made often of things like cardboard and old metal. So that's also a factor I think we should take into account.
Absolutely.
Here.
Professor, I would like to ask you more broadly about the latest Russian incursion in Poland. How do you read it? Some experts say that it might have been a signal to the West not to assist Ukraine with security guarantees and with not sending any troops, any soldiers to Ukraine, as a matter of fact, as a manner of security guarantees. How about you? What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, Poland has already said it's not going to be a part of, sending troops to.
True, however, Minister of Foreign
force.
Affairs Radosław Sikorski started to speak about closing the sky over Ukraine. We know what that means.
So that's a different thing. This is long overdue. There would be no threat to Poland or even to Slovakia or Lithuania if the sky over you, if there was some kind of, NATO umbrella, kind of air defense umbrella over all of Ukraine or even over Western Ukraine, then it would be this situation would be resolved. Poland would no longer be threatened. This has been talked about for 3 years, and now Foreign Minister Sikorski is supporting it. I think maybe it will move in this direction. But as far as I understand, all members of NATO have to agree, and this means also in Hungary, which has a pro-Russian prime minister. So maybe Poland could convince Prime Minister Orban. But what is Russia's goal here? Well, I think everybody seems to miss the main point here, is that Russia thinks it's not fighting Ukraine. Russia thinks it's fighting the West in Ukraine. So Russia is already psychologically established as a country that's at war with the West. The West has not wanted to believe this, but Russian leaders believe they are at war with the West because they don't believe that Ukraine is a real country. They believe it's a US puppet state, and therefore they believe that they are fighting the West, or what they call the US-led unipolar world in Ukraine already. So they see this already as a proxy war, and therefore this attempt to send 19 or 23 drones into Poland is a probing attempt, an attempt to see what the reaction would be. Next time it might be 40 or 50. They want to see how NATO will respond. Will it respond with political will? I think the Polish government is now becoming tougher on this. But let's look at Romania. One single drone was for 30 hours inside Romanian airspace just a day ago, and the Romanians didn't shoot it down. Why? Russians only respect strength. And I think that strength is now finally coming in Poland, but Romania just sent a signal of weakness.
Well, speaking of the reaction, well, Donald Trump's reaction to what happened in Poland was rather mixed, signaling on his commitment to NATO and also unwillingness to stick to his own deadlines with regard to sanctioning Russia. So, do you think that American president still has problems with telling assailant from the victim, or what is this problem here?
I think your Polish president seems to have a very good relationship with US President Trump. Maybe we should ask him. I think my own personal view is that if I was involved in developing national security strategy in the Baltic states or in Poland, you have to think of the scenario that if you are at war with or in a conflict with Russia, that the US will not come to your help. We have reached this kind of environment because I don't think, if you were to ask privately many foreign and defense and intelligence people in Europe, they surely today cannot trust the United States to fulfill its commitments. Because let's remember that Article 5 of NATO, it can be very vague. What constitutes aggression? Poland and Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania will say this is Russian aggression, and the US might say no, it's not. It's not. And this is what Russia plays on. Russia plays on this gray zone, this hybrid warfare, and pushes it. So I think that Trump has shown that he cannot be critical of Russia. I mean, he's shown this. He's been unable and unwilling to impose sanctions on Russia. The Russian media, which I follow, TV and print media, laugh at him because they see that he has no political will and he doesn't impose any consequences with his deadlines. I mean, he's imposed only sanctions on India, but not on China, which is the biggest purchaser of Russian oil, and he's imposed no sanctions on Russia. So I think Donald Trump is. If I was a Polish national security expert working for the Polish government, I would be very skeptical that the United States would come to my rescue. And therefore, that makes it even more important that there's military and security and intelligence cooperation with a country like Ukraine, which has this great battle and military experience with fighting Russia and with dealing with Russia and taking the war into Russia, inside Russia, because who else is going to help Poland and the Baltic states and Scandinavia? It's really only Ukraine.
Taras Kuzio, thank you so much for your insights, sir. Thank you for commenting here on World Talks, TVP World. Have a good night.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Peaceful good night as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned to TVP World for more commentaries and online news.